pretty revolutionary Mega Minx Speed Cube. It came in a lot of different variations, but this one is the sculpted version, which means it has these cool kind of like concave pieces to it. It has some pretty nice packaging here. And here's the Mega Minx. Was a very nice speed cube for its time. The X-Man Galaxy Mega Minx V2 was a pretty decent improvement to the original X-Man Galaxy, but instead of getting it in the sculpted version, I decided to get this concave version. I thought it would be really popular, but in the end, it actually wasn't that great. But then X-Man made yet another Galaxy V2 Mega Minx, but this time it came with magnets. So I decided to go back to the original sculpted version, and with the addition of magnets, it became a really amazing Mega Minx. The X-Man Shadow 6x6 was a pretty big step up in cubing hardware at the time, especially because it was magnetic, and yeah, it was a pretty good speed cube that I used for quite a while. The X-Man Volt Square 1 was also a pretty big step up in Square 1 hardware. Unfortunately, I don't have the box for it, so this is the Volt V2, which I don't think I ever made a video about, but it does have magnets in it. And it actually has magnets in both the slice layer like this, but also in these up and down layers. I think I was probably the first person to put magnets in my Square 1 in this way. Here is the X-Man Bell Pyraminx V2. Again, I do have the original Bell Pyraminx, I just for some reason don't have the packaging for it. This is pretty much the best Pyraminx that you can get nowadays. It comes with this little screwdriver, I guess, as well as the Pyraminx itself. It has magnets that are adjustable, and overall just really good performance. Here's the X-Man Wingy Skewb. Again, one of the biggest advancement in Skewb hardware. It has this kind of concave shape to allow for a better grip, and it is really in need of an update because this is really old and there are better Skewbs now. Oh, I found the original X-Man Volt. I didn't realize I had this, but I guess these were a little bit out of order. This was the one that I magnetized myself before anybody else. And finally, we have the QiYi clock. Now this technically isn't branded under X-Man, but it kind of falls into the same category of being a really amazing speed cube made by QiYi. So it comes with a little stand here, and basically it's just a much better clock, much better than the original Rubik's one. Next up here we have the Volk puzzles, also made by QiYi, but just under a different brand name, also some really good speed cubes. Next up we have the Volk 5M, and I sense an upcoming theme of boxes that open themselves very slowly. So it comes in this nice little box here. We have an accessories box that we don't have time to open, and here we go. Here is the cube, just an amazing 5x5, it's magnetic, it is my main. The Volk 4M, same deal as the Volk 5M, a very slow opening box with some extra springs, an accessories box, this nice little plastic case, and the cube itself, which is also my main and also amazing. Here's another Volk 4M. I think one of them has stronger magnets and one of them has weaker magnets, but I can hardly tell the difference. Here it is. The Volk 3 Elite M. One of the many improvements upon the original Volk 3, which was the first one of the lineup. It has a ton of accessory boxes because you can actually swap out the center caps to change the strength of the magnets. For some reason this box does not want to open, but it is one of QiYi's best 3x3 speed cubes. The Volk 2M. Same story as most of the Volks, a great magnetic speed cube and currently my main. Ooh, springs. So we have cube in a box. And finally, the Angstrom Volk 2M is pretty much the exact same thing, but with some special setup and lube from the cubicle. So there's their logo right there. But I've actually used and taken apart and messed around with the pieces with these cubes so much that I can hardly tell the difference between them because the lube has kind of worn out. In the next row, we have some newer miscellaneous non-WCA puzzles from QiYi. So basically all puzzles that you wouldn't find at a competition. First is the QiYi 1x2x3 Speed Cube. It's pretty much exactly what you'd expect, just a basic cuboid puzzle that turns just like this. Next is the QiYi Fluffy 3x3 Speed Cube. So this is kind of like a 3x3 shape mod, except instead of the actual shape of the puzzle being different, it's just the shape of the pieces. So it functions exactly like a 3x3. Here is the QiYi 6-Spot Cube Speed Cube. So basically this is kind of a mod of like a skewb. It's actually the same as another puzzle that QiYi has made called the Ivy Cube, just in a slightly different shape. A mod of like a skewb. It's actually the same as another puzzle that QiYi has made called the Ivy Cube, just in a slightly different shape. This is the QiYi Gear Cube Speed Cube. So similar to the Meffert style gear cube that I talked about earlier, except the pieces are shaped a little bit differently, but pretty much the same gear puzzle. This is the QiYi Gear Barrel Speed Cube. So pretty much the same thing as the gear cube, except in a barrel shape. Next is the QiYi Gear Ball Speed Cube. Again, same thing as the previous two, except now in the shape of a ball. The QiYi Gear Pyraminx Speed Cube, so kind of the same idea as all those gear puzzles, except now in the shape of a pyramid. This one I don't really understand, it turns kind of badly and I don't even know how to solve it. The QiYi Clover Pyraminx Speed Cube, another interesting pyramid-shaped puzzle, which is actually based on the Clover Cube, which I'll get to in a minute. It turns kind of like this. The QiYi Duomo Cube Speed Cube, yet another interesting pyramid-shaped puzzle, which turns in some way like this. That's kind of interesting. The QiYi Coin Pyraminx Speed Cube, also another interesting pyramid-shaped puzzle, which is based off the Ancient Coin Cube, which I'll also get to in a minute. It turns something like this. And this is the QiYi Pyromorphix Speed Cube. Wait a minute, I've been wrong this whole time. It's more than a professional speed cube. Okay, so this is like a 2x2 version of the Mastermorphics, a puzzle I showed you that I modded earlier, which was a 3x3 made into a pyramid shape. So this is a 2x2 made into a pyramid shape. This is the QiYi Pentacle Cube. It has some very nice looking packaging that at one point a spider inside of my closet decided to live inside of, so I had to remove him. In fact, you'd be amazed at how many dead spiders you can find when you go through 200 some empty boxes in your closet. Anyway, yeah, this cube turns kind of like this. You can move around the centers like this, and once they're all lined up, you can turn aside and you can scramble it kind of like a 3x3. A very interesting sort of puzzle. This is the QiYi Clover Cube. It has the same spider-friendly packaging as the last one, and I mentioned this cube earlier in relation to the QiYi Clover Pyraminx because it looks pretty similar and turns just about the same, except it's now in the shape of a cube. It's also very similar to a puzzle called the Curvy Copter. And finally, the QiYi Ancient Coin Cube, Speed Cube, Spider Attractor, something like that. I also mentioned this one earlier in relation to the Coin Pyraminx. You can turn the sides like this, and now the corners can turn. Now we're going to move on to this other little set of QiYi puzzles that are either older or just don't fit into any other category. Now, despite the large size of its box, this is a standard size 3x3 speed cube, the QiYi Thunderclap. It was a pretty popular 3x3 speed cube back in the day. I used it as my main for quite a while. It was really cheap and just overall a good speed cube. The QiYi Pyraminx. No, not the X-Man Bell, but the original Pyraminx from QiYi. I believe this was the first ever stickerless Pyraminx. I bought it. I was just amazed that a Pyraminx could be stickerless, and it turned all right. Despite my comment about the Thunderclap being a normal size despite its large box, this puzzle has a large box, and it also is a large size. This is the QiYi Big Sail, which is a big QiYi sail. This is the QiYi Wuji, a pretty decent 7x7 speed cube back when it came out, and it was my first 7x7 other than the V cube, so obviously a huge improvement. And yeah, I speed cubed on this for quite a long time. The QiYi Wuhua, same story as the last one, except this one is a 6x6. I somehow made it kind of bad, it's really slow, but it was a good 6x6 for its time. The QiYi Wuchui, I think that's how you say it. Kind of a similar story with this one, a really good speed cube at some time in the past. I never actually used it as my main, I was using the mini Aosu at that point, and I just didn't really want to set this one up. The QiYi Wuchui Mini M. This is a somewhat more recent puzzle. I got it at the same time as the X-Man Shadow 6x6M. Basically, when magnets started becoming a thing, they even put a magnet inside of the box here. They started updating some of their older puzzles like the Wuchui Mini with magnets, and it was a really good speed cube that I used for a while. Here is the QiYi Square One. It was the first really good Square One speed cube way before the Volt, and I believe it was also the first stickerless one, which was really interesting at the time. It transitioned to a spherical mechanism on the inside, which basically allows for corner cutting, whereas the old ones used a cylindrical design. The original QiYi Cube came out around the same time as the original QiYi Pyraminx and Square One, and again, it was the first stickerless cube, which is part of why I bought it. I just thought it was really interesting. The QiYi Twisty Cube. This is just a fun shape mod of a cube. As you can see here, it's kind of in this weird twisted shape, so one side at the top goes to a different side at the bottom, and it functions just like a cube. The QiYi Ivy Cube is another fun non-WCA puzzle I alluded to earlier. It's kind of like a shape mod of a cube. It turns in the same way, but it doesn't have half the corners. The QiYi 2x2x3, just as you'd expect, is just a fun little cuboid. As you can see here, turns just like this. And finally, we have perhaps QiYi's greatest puzzle, the 1x3x3 spinner. It's cool. So let's go ahead and open this up here and see what is inside. We have this little puzzle which functions just like a 1x3x3, but it can also do this.